Here.
Commissioner Brassad.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
And next, we will entertain tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. And this is, any further questions or comments or discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 for the period ending November 8th, 2019, and purchase card claims paid for the period ending November 8th, 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote as well.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll look for an approval of the minutes from November 12th of this year.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner West,
Second.
second by Commissioner Look. And these are the county board meeting minutes for November 12th, 2019. Further discussion? Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes are adopted. Next, we will move on to our chair's remarks portion of the meeting, which is actually the what the majority of you are here for today, I assume. Under chair's remarks today, it's once again our pleasure to recognize the extraordinary accomplishments of our employees. It's an exciting day as this is the return of the Awards of Excellence. The awards have been absent for a little while, but the program was resurrected in the past year by then Commissioner Rhonda Sivaraja, who felt it was important to celebrate our staff's exceptional work. During the brief hiatus, some changes were made to enhance the program. The award categories, along with the nomination and selection process, have been completely revamped. The Awards of Excellence is also now something we're going to be doing twice a year, not just once, as we've done in the past. Today, we'll honor several Anoka County staff who have demonstrated a commitment to excellence. The awards are significant because they're submitted by fellow employees. All of our employees do tremendous work every day, but this is an opportunity to recognize those who have performed exceptionally to serve our public. Let's begin presenting this year's awards winners. Our first award is for modeling our mission. The award is given to an individual who is regarded as an example of what it means to be respectful, innovative, and fiscally responsible. The winner in this category is Susan R. Anderson, the right-of-way specialist within the Highway Department. Susan is a key employee in this department, helping residents understand the right-of-way acquisition process, which can be complicated, personal, and sometimes contentious. She leads by example, exhibits integrity, and provides the taxpayers with excellent service. Her work has saved the county money and has reduced the stress and anxiety of property acquisition for the public we serve. Susan is a leader, a teacher, a friend to anyone in need, and she makes everyone around her better. Congratulations, Susan, on receiving the Modeling Our Mission Award. Congratulations. Thank you. Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Performance Award is given to an individual who displays a notable effort, outstanding performance, and significant contribution to the accomplishment of key organizational goals and objectives. The winner of one of the performance awards this year is Chelsea Bednar, a social worker in human services, adult protection. Chelsea is a case manager for people who are placed in commitment, and throughout the years she's worked in Anoka County, she has gone above and beyond to advocate for her clients and help her coworkers. Just recently, Chelsea was covering for a coworker and ended up in a dangerous situation with a client. While this was happening, Chelsea kept calm and even contacted a paralegal at the attorney's office to get paperwork started to get this person back into a locked treatment facility. During another situation, Chelsea helped our sheriff's office locate a person who needed to be transported to court, even though this was not her responsibility. She contacted multiple hospitals to locate the person in need of transport. Chelsea is patient, kind, and understanding, and she consistently performs above expectations. Congratulations, Chelsea, on receiving the Performance Award.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Our other performance award winner this year is Cody Rossetti, a naturalist at Wargo Nature Center. This summer, Wargo had to deal with reduced staff because of pregnancy leave and illness, and Cody increased his workload to ensure Wargo was able to offer excellent programming to all its many visitors. Cody took on the role of coordinating the Parks Department Safety Committee, normally a position filled by a full-time permanent staff member. He is always the first person to volunteer to work late or come in early to staff the front desk if needed, offer to substitute on a program, or take care of some of the program animals. Cody took the initiative to create new homeschool programs outside the normal curriculum to include recreational activities and innovative environmental topics. He also takes the time to come up with new creative programming, such as fresh cheese making. Now that sounds very interesting, I gotta admit. And a Facebook series for Wargo called A Large Look at Tiny Things. Cody is always looking for new and innovative ways of operation and programming, and he recently came up with ideas on how to utilize seasonal staff for Wargo's day camp program to bring in more revenue and reduce stress on the permanent staff. Congratulations, Cody, on receiving the Performance Award. I gotta find out about the cheese making. Thank you.
Okay, our next award is the Leadership Award, and it's given to a supervisor or manager who exhibits exemplary vision, leadership, and dedication to their work and employees. Our Leadership Award goes to Budget Director Patty Hetrick. Patty provided exemplary leadership during a Kaizen project for the Correctional Health Electronic Medical Record. During this project, the intake process at the Anoka County Jail was changed to have the registered nurses complete the medical and mental health screening when there was adequate staffing. The Correctional Health Kaizen Collaborative, the group leading this effort, was composed of representatives from 4 county departments: Corrections, the Sheriff's Office, Information Technology, Public Health, and Environmental Services. Patty took the time to learn on site what each department completed for the process. She was a patient facilitator and kept many staff members on task. She was also an active listener and provided effective leadership and direction for this process. Congratulations, Patty, on receiving the Leadership Award.
Our next leadership award goes to Krista Strange, Public Assistance Supervisor in Economic Assistance. Krista puts forth the effort each day to show appreciation to her staff, whether it's an email, a little note, or just coming to an employee's desk and saying, I appreciate what you do. She emphasizes personal strengths in her employees that she supervises and helps them maximize those strengths. Krista has taken a team of workers with mixed specialties and managed to bring them together to provide superior service on all fronts. She shows fiscal responsibility by paying close attention to policy, and she works to ensure client needs are met while also maintaining integrity and accuracy in the work that is being completed. With a recent sudden loss in her department, Krista was the glue that held the department together. She offered her support to her staff and helped guide them through this very difficult time. Krista is personable and responsive and has used her skills to build a tight-knit team that is dedicated to the work that they do daily. Congratulations, Krista, on receiving this leadership award.
The Customer Service Award is given to an individual or a group of people who prove to go above and beyond for internal or external customers. This year's winner goes to Courtney Halbert, a public health nurse and case manager in the Aging and Disability Services. Every day, Courtney works with healthcare providers, home care agencies, and community resources. Her work ensures that people with health limitations are living their best lives in the community. In the 5 years that Tom Meyer has been working with her, she has never once received a single complaint. Her peers often look up to her in challenging situations as well as ethically complex scenarios. And she's known throughout her department for being a very good listener. Courtney, thank you for your service, and congratulations on your award.
The Teamwork Award recognizes a group of employees for proven excellence and documented improvements accomplished by the team's collaborative efforts. The first group we're recognizing with this award is the Disability and Aging Services, Long-Term Services and Support Leadership, Disability and Aging Services, Long-Term Support Services Coordinators, and DAS Case Manager Assessor Work Group. The work of DAS and LTSS is intertwined, and the staff have collaborated extensively to implement broad federal and state home and community-based services program changes. Together, they identified the obstacles and challenges of each team and openly contributed ideas that were creative and innovative. This led to the development of consistent, functional, and efficient workflows and processes that were implemented within both service areas and created minimal disruption for team members. Leadership and staff have witnessed increased communication, an improved understanding of processes, and positive relationships among DAS and LTSS staff. If everyone in this group would please stand to be acknowledged. I'd like to... I'd like to invite Madonna Cormier and Kate Berg to come up and accept the award on behalf of the whole team. Congratulations, DAS and LTSS staff, on receiving the Teamwork Award. Thank you.
Our Teamwork Award goes to the Bunker Beach Water Park lifeguards, whose quick actions the morning of August 7th resulted in the life of a toddler being saved. Those lifeguards are Andrew Belter, Corin Jacobson, Allison Knaus, Josephine Meinert, and Lauren Roberstead. Unfortunately, none of them could join us today as they're all in college, busy continuing their education. But we'd still like to publicly acknowledge them for winning this award. During Tot Time, a program for preschool age children and their guardians at Bunker Beach, a lost child was reported. The lifeguards immediately initiated Bunker's Lost Child Protocol, and the child was located within minutes, unresponsive in a closed pool not meant for this activity. The toddler was quickly removed from the pool, and the lifeguards, along with a guest who is a certified nurse, administered CPR, successfully reviving the child. They continued to care for the child until EMS arrived and transported him to an area hospital where he made a full recovery. Bunker Beach's Water Park and Anoka County are extremely grateful for the quick and precise response by the lifeguards for their heroic, life-saving actions that will be forever cherished. Unfortunately, none of them could join us today. They're all in college, but we'd still like to publicly acknowledge them. So congratulations, Bunker Beach lifeguards, on receiving the Teamwork Award. Well, thank you all, and congratulations again to all of our award winners. You exemplify the many deeply committed people who work on behalf of the citizens and customers of Anoka County. We are proud of your efforts to help us fulfill our mission to serve the citizens in a respectful, innovative, and fiscally responsible manner. You know, these awards mean more than the scripts that we're reading, and you know, I think about it a lot, and we've all worked with bad employees, bad coworkers that are hard to work with, that kind of create a toxic environment. But then we've also worked with the good ones, the ones that set themselves apart from the rest of us, not just with their attitude, but their work ethic. And that recognition today goes to you from your coworkers. This isn't from some boss looking down and looking at numbers, and it's not even from the customers that you serve or the citizens. It's from your fellow employees. It's kind of a big deal. It's really important, and I'm proud of you and really proud that Anoka County has people like you working in our ranks. I'd like to let everyone know nominations are due March 31st for our next Awards of Excellence. Applications can be found on our SharePoint site. And I encourage you, as award winners, to look around and see who else is mirroring what you're doing. Maybe they see you and your attitude and your work ethic, and maybe they're starting to do the same thing, and maybe you want to put them up for an award next time. But these aren't empty awards. These are real. They're important. And my fellow commissioners, I'm sure, agree with me 100% that it's a highlight in our year to recognize the people that work for us and do such a good job. Before we continue to move on to committee reports, I'd like to take a moment to remind everybody the public meeting to discuss the proposed property tax levy and budget for 2020, also known as the Truth in Taxation, will be held Thursday, December 5th at 6 p.m. right here in the county boardroom. The public is invited to come and share their comments with the county board at that time. We'd also like to encourage everyone to go to our website where you can explore our county budget in detail. That is www.anokacounty.us/budget. We just had a work session on this recently. It's maybe it wasn't a work session. I think it was a finance committee meeting. but it was very in-depth on how you can use this budget tool. Very user-friendly. The public can go out there, and if you do use it and you find any hiccups, don't hesitate to let us know. We can modify this. We can change it. But it's really all the details there. Everything you want to know about how Anoka County's budgeting and spending and where your tax dollars go, it's all there. And we have no information that you don't have available to use. So find it, go out there and see if you can find some information. Any other comments from the commissioners about awards or?
Can we give them all another hand?
One last round of applause for all the award winners. That does conclude our chair's remarks. We'll now move on to committee reports, and we'll start with Commissioner West and the Management Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item that we have on our committee is to approve the Career Ladder Program for the Accountant Grade 2 in Finance and Central Services. And I'd just like to give a brief description of what we're doing in here. When people go to college and to learn how to be an accountant, they don't really get much coverage in how to do accounting that happens in government. And so to provide Anoka County with some experienced, well-trained accountants that can handle the things that come before them in Anoka County, we want to give them this career ladder to train them. And so they have times like in 5 years, they would reach a certain point, and then to really get a handle on it, it takes 10 years. So that is what this is, we're asking for approval for.
Thank you, Commissioner West. I would just make one correction. You said accountant grade 2. I'm pretty sure you meant accountant 2 grade 12.
Yes, that is what I meant
For
to
the
say.
record. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by 2 commissioners to my left. We'll go with Commissioner Meisner. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes with a unanimous vote. Item 2.
Item 2, and I want to include the additional item, is some housekeeping and some clarity that we are putting in some of our employee descriptions, whether it's benefits or different things that, different responsibilities they have. And I've asked Steph if she would come forward and just give a brief description of each section in here and then include the extra, the additional agenda.
Steph.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. It's important that annually we review the Anoka County personnel rules and regulations to ensure consistency with practice and policy, and also to ensure for updates to any Minnesota and or federal laws that may have come into place. And so we have done that work to identify these by section. Most of them are for clarification purposes, and we presented those at your workshop for review. Many of them essentially ensure that our practices align to how we are doing business. And so it includes how we award and use our time off. It includes how we no longer include employer-sponsored coverage or a portion of the coverage for health insurance to employees who may be rehired back at the county, to be consistent with those who are not eligible as of January 6th, 2007, a practice that's been in place. So we have updated the document and reviewed those with you, and they cover many changes throughout the entire document, all of the sections.
Thank you. Any questions for Steph? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And that's a unanimous vote. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, the rest is informational. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Next, we'll move on to the Transportation Committee. We did meet on November 18th here in the Government Center, and we've got a number of items for your consideration today. The committee recommends approval of a resolution supporting and authorizing the Metropolitan Council and the Minnesota Department of Transportation to transfer federal funds from the intersection improvements at the intersection of Trunk Highway 47 and Bunker Lake Boulevard in the cities of Anoka and Ramsey, and the project that is widening the bridge number 02519 on Viking Boulevard in the city of Oak Grove, transferring those to the Foley Boulevard Railroad Grade Separation Project in the city of Coon Rapids, and confirming that Anoka County's commitment to fulfill the Metropolitan Council's conditions related to the federal funding exchange. Let me boil all that down to we're transferring federal funds from two projects that were awarded federal dollars, and we're transferring those to one bigger project in Coon Rapids where we'll grade separate Foley Boulevard. The reason we're doing this is expedience. It's to get these projects moving quicker. We can defederalize them, we can get the projects done sooner, so we have relievers for the Highway 10 congestion during construction in the 22-23 years. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I'd like to just comment on this. I too think that this is a good move on account of the fact that we're going to have a lot of moving pieces on Highway 10, and we need these projects done in advance of when these federal dollars are. Just so folks know, we'll apply for regional solicitation dollars. That might be in 2025, 2026, further out when we actually receive those dollars. But to be able to advance those projects is flexibility that we do have. But this is a little bit different in terms of defederalization. And at the Transportation Advisory Board, there isn't really standard protocol in defederalizing. In terms of meeting these requirements, and this was somewhat of an undertaking, certainly by our people, by the Met Council transportation staff. And what I really saw through this whole process was there was some opposition to it, but they were willing to work through it to try and find common ground. And I really want to give a shout out to them and thank them for that, given the fact of the amount of work that's going to be going through Anoka County and the need to advance these projects. So they really kind of came to our aid in helping us to come up with these solutions, and certainly want to express our gratitude in their help in doing so.
And I would suggest, as I looked through the conditions that the Metropolitan Council has placed on this agreement, they're all very reasonable. I think the important takeaway here is we're doing these projects as if they're federally funded. We're still doing everything that's being asked of a federally funded project. So we're not taking any shortcuts, we're not changing any environmentals, we're not doing anything we wouldn't do if we were getting the federal dollars, except moving them up in a earlier pattern so we can get those projects done. Any further discussion? Any corrections, Joe?
I think you hit it right on the head. Nice
Thank
job.
you.
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution's been offered. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes unanimous. Next, the committee recommends approval to enter into a joint powers agreement amendment with the city of Coon Rapids for the replacement of the traffic control signal systems along Coon Rapids Boulevard at the intersections of Avocet and Egret Boulevard, as well as corridor pavement rehabilitation, turn lane construction, and bridge rehabilitation work in the city of Coon Rapids. I'll move this. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second on the floor. For clarity, I would say the reason this is an amendment is we have two bridges, one over East River Road and one over the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, that are both in need of some work. They're adjacent to this project, so we wanted to include those two bridges into this work, hence the need for the amendment. The City of Coon Rapids is leading this project, and you'll notice there are some new signs up on the west movement of Coon Rapids Boulevard as you approach the Burlington Northern that say bump, because it is a pretty good bump. And that's part of what'll be fixed. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes. Next, the committee recommends award of a contract to Asphalt Surface Technologies Corporation in the amount of $1,121,939.50 for the micro-surfacing project on Main Street, Round Lake Boulevard, and Bunker Lake Boulevard in the cities of Coon Rapids and Andover. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Further discussion? I would just say that we did attempt to let this contract last year, and the bids came back real high, and people really weren't in the market to do the work. They were too busy doing other stuff. We relet the bid, came in pretty close to the engineer's estimates, so we're pretty excited to get this project underway. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, Joe, I would love for you to just give a little bit more detail about this particular project, just because I know this is very new and quite exciting.
Sure. Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners. So this process here, it's called microsurfacing, is essentially it's a way to prolong the life of the pavement. And the way they do that is it's a mixture, it's a chemical mixture that they put together. It's got rock and polymers involved. And instead of coming in and doing our typical mill and overlay project on these corridors, which are very heavily traveled, traffic control would be cumbersome to say the least, and it would be very expensive. We can come in and we can do the microsurfacing project. Many times it's at night when traffic is low, but you come in, you apply this to the surface. It's a structural element, and it's going to help prolong the life of these corridors from anywhere from 5 to 10 years. So, and the best part is at a fraction of the cost. We did a quick estimate. If we did a mill and overlay on these sections of roadway, and mill and overlays can last anywhere from 10 to 15. If you're really lucky, you can get out to 20 years. But in this case, if we were to do a mill and overlay on these projects, we're looking at in the range of $14 million. So we're able to do the work for a fraction of the cost in a fraction of the time, especially knowing and cognizant of the fact that the US Highway 10 projects are coming up in the city of Anoka in 2021. So we can make everything look good again, freshen it up, and be ready for the traffic.
And I will further comment that it is a fairly new process being used. State of Minnesota is using it. Others are using it, so it's not like we're true guinea pigs here. But the true longevity is really unknown at this point. They have best estimates of how long it'll last. My hopes are it lasts that long, and maybe longer. We'll see. It's, again, a pretty new process. So we'll monitor it closely, I'm sure. Yes. Commissioner Luck.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Joe, on a city level, they do somewhat of the seal coat and rock that they put down, drive it in. Everyone's kind of familiar with that as they drive slowly on those type of roads. But we kind of have an aversion to do that a little bit on the county level. Now, roads are, faster speeds and kicking up rocks, replacing windshields. There's those type of reasons for doing that. But is this process then, is it from a plowing standpoint, does it hold up? I mean, obviously it's been in place for a few years. Plows don't prematurely peel this up, I'm assuming. It's more of a bonding process of some sort?
Sure. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Look, that's a good question. So typically, to step back to look at the chip seals that cities use, you're correct. It's used on lower volume roads, lower speed roads, and the exact reasons you brought up are exactly the reasons we typically don't use it on our high volume, high speed roadways. With that rock, it has to be applied on top of an oil that's put down hot on the road surface. You use the traffic to actually grind that rock into the oil and make it stick, and then they come back either a day or within 3 days later, and they sweep up the remaining elements or the remaining rock and remove it. But then as time goes on, some still breaks away and removes itself, and that can chip windshields, and it's not adding really any structural integrity to the pavement. It's really just giving the pavement a skid resistance. So on the highways, knowing that we have the higher speeds, the higher volumes, it hasn't really been applicable to our type of use. Now, on the alternative here, with the microsurfacing, it's more of a structural element. It's actually goes through a chemical reaction. The polymers, when they're combined with each other, it takes about an hour to 2 hours. We're going to find out exactly how long that is, but it reacts with itself and creates a real hard, firm surface. And to your question regarding paving, or plowing, we're going to see what happens. This is really going to be a good test for us. I know other agencies like MnDOT have had really good luck. This past summer, MnDOT applied it on Highway 10 out in the city of Ramsey as you head towards Elk River. and it seems to be holding up to that traffic volume. But you're correct, this is going to be our guinea pig project to see how it holds up.
Further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. Joe, I noticed we're doing a large part of Bunker Lake Boulevard, but then only small spots on Round Lake Boulevard and then Main Street. Is that just because that was where the need was? Was there any reason why we decided to do all of Bunker? Just kind of curious as to how we picked that out.
Yep, good question, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gamache. So when we looked at this, originally when we bid it, we actually were looking at doing that whole segment of Round Lake Boulevard from Main Street all the way up to Bunker. As this year went on, we started to notice that north of Highway 10, that road segment needs more work than what this thing can support. So when you're looking for a microsurfacing project, you're looking for a roadway that's in good condition, the structural integrity's there. It may have some rutting going on, which is another attribute that microsurfacing can help out with, is it can fill in those ruts, flatten the surface, prevent the hydroplaning. But in this case, the reason we looked at these sections is they're in good enough condition where the pavement surface isn't poor, but it can be repaired and prolonged with this type of treatment. That section of Round Lake Boulevard there, we're actually going to do that this year as a mill and overlay. It's just deteriorated to the point where the cracks are large enough we need to do something more. Good question.
Further discussion? Well, I would just, one last comment. When accountants, budget directors start talking numbers, they kind of get giddy and excited. That's how I get with transportation stuff. I mean, this may be dry to a lot of people, but I really like transportation stuff. This is an exciting project.
Polymers are fun, right? That's what I want to start with.
Can I quote you on that, Joe? Polymers are fun. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye,
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
and that passes. Lastly, on our transportation agenda, the committee recommends approval of a purchase of service agreement with TKDA in the amount of $644,000 for preliminary engineering and environmental documentation services for the U.S. Highway 10 Strategic Congestion Management Project from Hanson Boulevard to Round Lake Boulevard in the city of Coon Rapids. This was formerly known as the Adeline Project. It's now called our Strategic Congestion Management Project. Now, the reason is we need to add that extra lane of capacity to allow for people to get to at least 2 more exit ramps before they get into the congestion in Anoka in 2022 and 2023. So for that reason, we're recommending this agreement with TKDA so they can get started on the documentation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a big project that needs to get done, as the chair indicated, getting people to Main Street and to Round Lake Boulevard, getting them home and getting them to work in the morning and home at night. The improvement that they did on this stretch of 10 on the other side of Hanson, leading from all the way down from 610 all the way up, has been a great improvement, and now we just have to have that third lane continue. The bridges are already done. The bridge on Main Street was made for 6 lanes. The bridge on Round Lake Boulevard is made for 6 lanes. So there's plenty of room to do it. Now it's just a matter of getting it funded and get it done.
Thank you. And I would further state that a number of people who are hesitant about this project will tell you it just moves the bottleneck out. Mm-hmm. Well, the truth is, if half the contents of the bottle jump off at the next 2 exits,
That's right.
Yeah, you move the bottleneck, but the bottle's less full. Mm-hmm. So you've accomplished what you're looking for. It's a pretty important project. MnDOT is working with us, and we're working with them, and now TKDA can jump in and get the engineering and environmental documentation done. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes. The other items on this report are for informational purposes only. That will conclude my report, and we'll move on to the Finance and Capital Improvements Committee report. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, thank you. The Finance and Capital Improvements Committee met on November 20th. I was out of town, and thank you to Commissioner Brasted for chairing that committee. But they came away with 3 action items. The first is the committee recommends the county board approve contract C007607 for the 2020 annual operating grant between the Metropolitan Council and Anoka County for the North Star Commuter Rail in the amount of $6,302,691. And this is an annual contract that we do every year, ever since the North Star was voted in, prior to before my time, actually. But I did want to kind of just run through some of the numbers and full disclosure of the operating costs for the North Star. The fare box revenue that comes in off of ticket sales is $2,754,621. Greater Minnesota MnDOT pays $1,452,213. State funds pay $7,709,942. Anoka County, which we're talking about today, is $6,302,691. Hennepin County pays $1,440,173, and Sherburne County pays $1,452,213. So breaking that down is about $21 million that it costs to operate the North Star line. Very expensive, and unfortunately, fare box revenue isn't as high as we would like it to be. I've often said it's an undervalued asset in terms of what it's there for, what it's capable of offering. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't use it. So that being said, we're still committed to pay our portion, and somewhat for the next, I'm not sure, is it 20, 80 years or something? I'm not sure. But at any rate, that's the breakdown, and folks should know that we fund that with the quarter-cent sales tax dollars that Anoka County generates, and that pays our portion of it, so it doesn't fall on property taxes to fund it.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. I know that, and I really appreciate the breakdown that Commissioner Look provided for us. And one of the and as he mentioned, it was underused, or not exactly the quote he said it was, but
Underutilized.
Underutilized. Thank you. And I agree. There are many days that it probably is underutilized, and I think one of the reasons why we have seen development in Coon Rapids, near the station there, and development coming up in Fridley near the station there, where housing is going in, apartment complex, senior living, those types of things are going in, will be helpful in the future. Just on a note, as someone that attended a Twins game in the afternoon in July, that train is full when the Twins are winning and it's in the afternoon game. They're all getting on the train, and we're standing all the way there and back. So they do need to have more afternoon Twins games. Maybe just have the whole season be afternoon. And then, of course, they have to win. But besides that, it's a great way to get to a ball game.
Well, with that said, it's truly a commuter train. It's designed for people to commute to and from work, and we'd love to see it full. Although even if it's full every day, we're still not going to cover the operating costs. This is a subsidized form of transportation that the state of Minnesota has authorized and approved and built. So we'll continue to, and if I think we've proven it doesn't remove cars from Highway 10, at least not to a congestion mitigation standpoint. But it's another offering for commuters, and the goal would be to fill the train. But the old adage about leading a horse to water. We'll keep advertising it. We'll keep making sure people know it's there. We'll keep paying our share that we've agreed to. And at least for the time being, I may be renegotiating with the Met Council at some opportunity, and we'll see if we can have the Met Council or MnDOT pick up our share. Commissioner Luck.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to hold your feet to the fire on that. No, but I think Commissioner Gamache's comments are spot on. I mean, this is the operating side of it. If you look at the development side, I know we put in a $10 to $13 million station in the city of Ramsey, we've had probably over $150 million worth of development that have identified specifically we came because of the rail stop. That was the catalyst for the investment. And so there is investments at various different rail stops. Fridley's doing a lot of transit-oriented type of development, and that is critical and somewhat life-saving, you might say. Without that, we'd really be bleeding out pretty bad on this. But it's certainly something that hopefully in the next 50 to 75 years we might see growth. But it's painful in the beginning. So.
Well, to that point, I mean, the more of these structures are built, the development along the rail stops, they're built specifically to enhance ridership. So as these build and fill out, the development in Coon Rapids has one of their 3 phases filled already. People are living in there and using the trains. So hopefully we'll start seeing our ridership numbers increase. Further discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hate to echo some of the same sentiments, but I am going to take this opportunity just to do, in fact, that. Fridley has taken some investment, and when it comes to development, and transit does have to be part of the larger transportation solution. So I'm happy to hear the pros being discussed, as well as some of the financial challenges. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes. Item 2.
Mr. Chair, item 2 is the committee recommends the county board approve a budget adjustment to the 2019 community development budget of $49,394. ACAP received CDBG funding for a project that assisted families living in substandard manufactured housing by providing up to $24,999 per project maximum towards the purchase of newer manufactured homes. So these are families that were living in housing that was really not appropriate to be living in. So we have the opportunity here to utilize some block grant dollars to try and improve their living scenarios.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner West.
while I certainly agree with this, I will be abstaining because I sit on the board of ACAP.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Abstain.
And that passes with 1 abstention. Item 3.
Mr. Chair, item 3 is the committee recommends the county board approve the following master contracts for real estate broker services. Contract C000655 with Premier Commercial Properties out of Coon Rapids. Contract C000656 with Partners Real Estate LLC out of Ramsey.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Further discussion? Seeing none.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Look.
just by way of description on this, at various departments in Anoka County need to acquire or sell property, and so we have done this on other scenarios as well, whether it's electrical or plumbing or whatever the case may be, where you establish master contracts, helps expedite the process for doing this, and we oftentimes have properties that we want to get back on the tax rolls, and perhaps we bought it for some future project that didn't materialize, and now we want to make sure we can liquidate it. We've done that for the Regional Rail Authority, I know. Nice Kenworth building over there in Coon Rapids came as a result of that beautiful project, which would otherwise be vacant land if not for the fact of selling that. So these different master contracts allow us to liquidate those properties efficiently and effectively.
Thank you for the explanation. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes unanimous. And that
Sorry, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Next, we're going to move on to the Human Services Committee report. Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee did meet on November 19th, and we have a ton of contracts to approve. So I will make the motion for the consent agenda, which is full of contract renewals.
On the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes.
Consider recommending the county board enter into contract renewal with Summit Food Service LLC for meal services at community corrections institutions at $1.95 per meal, which is a 2.9% increase for a term covering January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
Was that a motion?
That was the motion.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item.
Recommend that the county board enter into a contract renewal with the 10th Judicial District for Drug Treatment Court Services in the amount of $202,637 from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2022. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Further discussion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item.
Recommend the county board enter into contract amendment number 2, which is a renewal with A Solid Waste for refuse and recycling services from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. This includes a 3% increase in tipping fees and a 5% increase in recycling markets. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to say that predicting like the future, some of these tipping fees will probably increase because of sort of the consequences of GRE closing Greater River Energy Plant. Would that was my understanding with part of the discussion around this particular contract.
Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, with regards to that, I think the tipping fees for the GRE was higher than the, taking it to a landfill. Obviously, my preference is to have them try and, it's refuse-derived fuel, so you're burning it to create electricity. I think that was a better and higher use for that. Unfortunately, it's a business up there, and they're not able to financially make it viable anymore. That being said, the recycling markets right now are absolutely disastrous, and while I think a lot of people like and should recycle, I think that when there's not a market to sell it to, it becomes difficult for people picking the recycling up to try and find a home for it. And I'm surprised it's only a 5% increase. I'm thankful that they're capping it at that, and hopefully the markets will turn around on some of the plastics that are out there. But it's a difficult situation to respond to Commissioner Meisner's comment because until it either state law complies with refuse-derived fuel plants that are out there, in other words, requiring people to go there before they can go to a landfill, which is the current law, by the way, but isn't followed, then unfortunately these type of facilities can't continue to operate in deficit every single year after year after year. So I'm disappointed somewhat in where that industry is going, because I know everyone wants to be responsible with the garbage that they create. So
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Commissioner Look, for kind of fleshing that out a little bit. I did just want to have a brief conversation about it, and mainly just in terms of that the county is not in control of a lot of what will be happening in the future with this particular service and issue. So thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item.
Recommend the county board enter into contract renewal with Nystrom and Associates for correctional health on-site psychiatric services at $272.36 per hour, which is a 3% increase from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second from Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes. On to social services.
Recommend the county board enter into the following case management contract renewals at monthly rates of $254.17 with a maximum of 4 units per year per eligible recipient from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And that is contracts with Meridian Services, Thomas Allen, Inc., and Minnesota Brain Injury Alliance out of Roseville. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any further discussion? Seeing none, that's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes. Next item.
Recommend the county board enter into the following semi-independent living services contracts at hourly rates of $34.56 from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And those are contracts with Mary T. Associates, Life by Design, Mansell Services, Meridian Services, Arcis LLC, Opportunity Partners, Inc., and REM, Minnesota Community Services. And I'll move those.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. I'm not actually sure on this, but I just thought I would ask it of Attorney Colombo. Being that my wife works for Mary T. Associates, Inc., and this is a contract which I don't know, semi-independent living services. She works in the area that is senior living services. I don't know if these are those types of contracts and whether I need to do anything on that or not.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gamache, I'd probably recommend you abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Abstain.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes with one abstention. Next item.
Recommend the county board amend contract with Stepping Stone Emergency Housing for adult shelter services at a rate of $71,438.69 per month. It's a 1% increase through December 31st, 2020. Contract maximum would be $1,708,718.52.
I'll
And
move it.
that.
Sir.
We have a motion and a second. I will assume it was West with the motion and Breasted with the second. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Gamache.
Being that I sit on the Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Board, I'll be abstaining.
Well, I would say, Commissioner Gamache, if this was a controversial vote, we'd have to have a discussion, but I think this will fly through. Any further discussion? With that, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Abstain.
And that passes with one abstention. Next item, please.
Recommend the county board enter into contract renewal with Canvas Health for mobile mental health crisis response services in an amount not to exceed $563,889, which is an increase of 4.11% from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Just commentary. We went through a lot of contracts with service providers and just acknowledgement of how valuable and important these partnerships are. Thank you.
And I would further comment that you're seeing more and more, at least I am, recognizing more and more expenses related to mental health and treatment of mental health and behavioral health. It's an important topic in our society. It's an important topic in corrections and our jails. And clearly, we're allocating a great deal of our proceeds to that, our tax proceeds, and it's important. So the public's aware, this county board deems that as one of our highest charges, is to maintain the safety and quality of life of our residents. This is just one more way we do that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
That passes.
And offer resolution 2019 HS 21, which is the economic assistance bills.
A resolution has been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes.
And that concludes my report.
Not so quick. I need to ask a question. I had 3 items on my agenda that I thought you were going to cover that either I missed. It was under the Public Health and Environmental Services, item number 3, number 4, and then number 5 under Community Corrections.
Okay, those were all on the consent agenda.
And they're marked on mine as we have to have a roll call vote on them.
I'm sorry.
We don't have to.
We do, but we did it as part of the
We did the
consent.
full roll call vote at the top of the consent agenda, so we don't have to do it individually on those 3.
Right.
Perfect. Then you are done, Commissioner Brassad. For now, you'll be back with us with the public safety report before long. But for now, we're going to jump into the Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee report. And we will turn to Commissioner Brassad.
I have that too.
And you had a sore throat to
apologize.
start this. This
I
is
do.
really going to be good.
I apologize for this voice and head cold. Our first item is to recommend the county board adopt Resolution IG 2019-04, which is accepting a donation for the Anoka County Veterans Service Office. And that was $5, which was donated to the vet's office. Did I say $5 or $500?
Said 5.
It was $500. Too much Dayquil. And I'll offer that resolution.
The resolution's been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item.
The committee recommends the county board approve the following medical examiner contracts. The first is a contract with St. Mary's Medical Center in Duluth for medical examiner services for a term of 1 year with automatic renewals for 7 years. The second is contract with Hutchinson Health in McLeod County for medical examiner services for a term of 1 year with automatic renewals for 5 years. And these are both new contracts for our medical examiner's office. And I'll move those.
Very good. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes.
And our next item is that the committee recommends the county board approve the 2020 Anoka County Legislative Platform. I've asked Karen Skepper to be here and go over our legislative platform items for 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee Chair. Our long process is quickly coming to an end, and we'll start working with the legislators of our area. But this was the ideas presented by our staff members as things that would really make a difference here in Anoka County if we could make a legislative impact. The first couple items come through Parks. The first is continued support of state funds appropriated to the Met Council for regional park operations, maintenance, and capital improvements. The committee suggests that we continue to support this with others. The second item from Park is support the Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council for Rum River wildlife and fish habitat enhancement projects. The committee recommends supporting this with others. Next, we have economic assistance. We have 2 items in this area. The first is defining income and determining eligibility for public assistance programs. The county recommends that we actively lobby this item. The second item is reinstate the asset tests for public assistance programs. The committee recommends that we actively lobby this item. We have 1 item under social services. We would lead agency rule changes for adult foster care licensing. The committee recommends approving this as an active lobby. We have 1 item from the Job Training Center. Move from a voluntary SNAP employment training program to a mandatory program. The committee recommends lobbying this actively. We have several items for transportation. The first is US Highway 10. We have it listed here as Adelane. I think we've talked in committee about calling it congestion mitigation project in Coon Rapids between Hanson Boulevard and Round Lake Boulevard. The committee recommends actively lobbying this item. The next is Highway 10 highway freeway conversion in Ramsey. The committee recommends actively lobbying this item. Next, we have Highway 65 freeway conversion. The committee recommends actively lobbying this item. Next one is the 610 full access interchange at East River Road. The committee recommends supporting this with others. Highway 47 railroad grade separation. The committee recommends supporting this with others. Leased vehicle sales tax. The committee recommended actively lobbying this item. Bonding provisions for local road wetland replacement, local road improvement programs, and bridge bonding. The committee recommends supporting this with others. And finally, the last one on our list is we recommend no changes to fiscal disparities without comprehensive tax reform. The committee suggests that we actively lobby for this if the need comes up. Mr. Chair, committee member, this is the report that came from the IG committee for us to use as our legislative platform.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions for Karen? If Commissioner Look?
Mr. Chair, I'm looking over this. I did sit in on that IG committee, although I don't sit on the committee. The one concern I have is the trunk Highway 47 rail grade separation support with others. I'm not sure who the others are on that. Perhaps there's some clarification as who others might be. But just in full disclosure, my understanding on this is that the governor has identified rail grade separations as a priority. This particular rail grade separation is the worst in the state of Minnesota. Some folks will recall the unfortunate accident with 4 young people years back and the continued gate failures that we have there and all the problems associated with this. So I know MnDOT is very interested, as is the city of Anoka, in trying to find dollars for this. And Representative Heinrich was very instrumental in the last legislative session to enter a bill for $10 million for planning, right-of-way acquisition, that sort of thing. I believe he intends on doing that again, but I'm not sure that anyone is actively, aside from saying at the state level that we're supporting grade separations, no one's actively saying this is an important one, which I find to be maybe something we need to consider, given the fact that other people are possibly going to throw money at it.
I would, I'll have Joel comment if you'd like, but I would think you answered your own question pretty succinctly, that MnDOT and Anoka are going to be lobbying pretty hard for this, I think. I mean, from what I've heard, MnDOT's serious about this. This is you've said the governor is serious, and it's his division, the highway division, or MnDOT, and they're pretty serious about getting this rail grade separated. And the city of Anoka, we know, is serious about it. They're working hard. And I don't know other partners other than those two, but there may be others. I'll go to Joe first and then back to you, Commissioner Luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Luck. So good conversation there. I remember at the Intergovernmental Committee meeting, we talked about this one at length. And so where it sits right now is, as you guys both mentioned, there's interest from not only MnDOT, but the city of Anoka to move forward with what the right project will be there, the right fix for 47. So, my recommendation here would be that we continue to be in support of the effort moving forward. There's a lot of right-of-way acquisition that would need to unfold. There's a lot of environmental studies that need to take place, especially on the north side of the tracks there. So I think this is a good one where we support the effort. We don't lead the charge, but we support it. I'm not sure if the city is going to move forward with something this year. Since our committee meeting, I've reached out to the city of Anoka. I don't think all the discussions have taken place as of today. There's still more discussions to take place, but I would recommend support of others and not carry the torch on this one, but be there as a partner.
Thank you. Commissioner Luck.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I can appreciate the city of Anoka and I can appreciate MnDOT. Let's just take MnDOT first. I've seen them advocate on behalf of a lot of things, but not really get anything across the finish line. That being said, the city of Anoka, I think, is very interested in doing this, but I don't know that they're going to contract with a lobbyist to get this done, necessarily. And I think from a county standpoint, we do contract with lobbyists, and we do carry maybe a bigger stick in terms of trying to get these projects done. And if the iron is hot right now with the governor, who, this usually boils down to a lot of political things on the cutting room floor. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the worst intersection. It has to do with intersections. And whoever lobbies the hardest or whoever sits on transportation committees and can get those dollars and bring it home to their district succeeds in doing so. And so I would suggest that we consider taking a little bit stronger position on this than to sit back and let other people maybe take charge of it who may not have the wherewithal to get it across the finish line.
I understand. We have a lot of county roads that need work. We have a lot of grade separations on county roads that need work. This affects a lot of people in our county. A lot of people use that road, but it is a state road. It's a state highway over a railroad crossing. So there's no real county property involved per se. That doesn't mean I'm not in support of your suggestion. It just means that we do have to spread our pool of talent, in this case lobbying, carefully. Because if we get too spread out, we're not going to get anything done. So I'm interested in others' thoughts. If you think this is elevated to that level where we need to pound the desk and work hard for it, or if we're going to stand behind people pounding the desk.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gamache, then Commissioner West.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Luck makes a good point. The governor was out here at just next to there. He was standing at the railroad greeting people as they were going that morning. Now, granted, it was a part of his big push for a gas tax increase, which failed last time around. And I don't know if that's going to be back on the agenda for this session. Probably wait until the next session. But at the same time, is this, anybody bringing this to the bonding bill? Have we seen it in any of the bonding information that's currently on that website? Nothing?
I've not seen it.
Because I do think for that point that the governor was here and already talking about it, that it is something that we should probably be ready and willing and able to do. I guess I'm not exactly sure where we are in the timing because of the fact that that's no one jumped on and put it on a bonding bill, or at least even offered it up as something that the governor. Now we've got some conversations coming up in the next few weeks with our legislators and our senators to talk about what our bonding issues are in transportation and other bonding, but this one isn't one of them. But I would agree, I would be supportive of putting it there in some fashion, but I'm just not sure if it's exactly the right time or not.
Commissioner West.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm not sure if we can, if we state that we are supporting it with others, our lobbyists know that. And can't we send them over? But the other thing, actually, which I think there probably isn't a more effective lobbyist than Mr. Commissioner Matt Look. And I've been told before that our interest in it and our contacts are, and I know that you can't be there all the time when they're discussing it, but I think you would be extremely influential to cover it. And then can't we let our lobbyists know, they're having a meeting here and have them sideline over there?
Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I do plan on pitching a tent down at the legislature here.
I know.
I think that, like I had said, I think the iron is hot with regards to MnDOT's attention to our area up here, whether it's 10, 65, 47, whatever the issue is. They've realized after, thankfully, multiple studies that have identified our intersections as complete failures that willful neglect over 50 years isn't really a plan forward. So, that being the case, I think we do have to be down there working just as hard as we can during this legislative session. From a bonding bill standpoint, there will be another bonding request in there for $10 million by Representative Heinrich. From a gas tax standpoint, who knows what will happen on a gas tax, but a lot of people are saying maybe a 5 cent or whatever the case is. Now, it was kicked around as a political football last year, as approve my 20-cent gas tax and we'll get your project done, which is playing games. You don't play games with public transportation, public safety, saying I'm going to leverage your safety if for a project, and if you don't get that gas tax through, we're not going to do your public safety project. That's insanity, in my opinion. If it needs to be done, it needs to be done. And I think that's the realization that's out there. But if there is a gas tax, we need to make sure that this is one of the first projects off the table, because it was kicked around as a political football. And so by keeping everyone's feet to the fire, I think that's where we need to be. And I'm a little reluctant. I've seen, other municipalities, run with projects, but they don't really run with them. They don't really know how to run with them, or they don't have the resources to run with them. And I think when a county weighs in on a project as one of their top priorities, it sends a different message than a city weighing in on a project as their top priority. And so if there's dollars that are available, I don't care on what roadway, 10, 65, 47, whatever, it doesn't matter. We've got problems everywhere. And if there's dollars available, we need to be there to capture those dollars if at all possible.
Thank you. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is just a discussion going on, right? We're not actually deciding to make this a priority on our legislative agenda, or is that what we're...
That's what we're deciding now.
That's what we're deciding right now. Yeah, I am definitely open to what Commissioner Look is saying. However, I can't move my position from what is proposed right now. For every yes, there's a no. And so for myself, I feel like I would have to really look at the grand scheme of the transportation projects. What are we saying yes to now? What's the most priority? And then kind of figuring that out. So if that's the situation, if we're actually right now deciding to bump this from the legislative plan, I would say keep it. But I would be open to further discussion at a future date.
As a point of clarity for process, we're going to vote on this table as presented.
Okay?
And if you want to change that item to an active lobby, there will be another motion after the first one fails, if that's the case. Because the first one is going to be for this table as presented.
Got it.
Commissioner Luck.
Mr. Chair, for clarification, the way we work is the IG committee makes a recommendation to the board. It comes to the board because we don't all sit on the IG committee.
Right.
It comes to the board to make that final decision. So this is our cutting room floor, if you will.
Right.
So for example, if you don't sit on IG and you don't like defining income and determining eligibility for public assistance programs, you can try and gun it right here.
Sure.
Okay, or you can add to it here, or you can come up with another item if you'd certainly like to here. But it's, there's nothing set in stone as of yet, and that's a process that we're going through right now to set that in stone.
And Commissioner Gamache.
Mr. Chair, just ask a question of Commissioner Look. Are you moving to amend, to move it to? Motion on the floor, yeah. Yes to that? Motion. Okay.
Yes.
He didn't say anything yet.
And I will restate the process point. If somebody wants to amend this, we can vote, they can make a motion, get a second, and we can vote on that amendment to this. And if that fails, we go back to this as is. Because I do have an amendment when we're done with this one. So,
Mr. Chair, I'll make an amendment to move it from support with others to active lobbying.
there's a motion on the floor to amend it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Further discussion on the amendment, which we've already been doing, but we'll continue that conversation now. This is to amend it, to move it over to active lobby, and this is for the Highway 47 grade separation. Further discussion. Commissioner Gamache.
Just a quick question on that is regarding how many we have in that category of yes, lobby for it. Under transportation, there are 4 out of the, 7, including this one. So we'd move in a 5th one. I guess maybe it's, we'd move into a 5th one. Does that take up, are we worried that's going to be taking up too much time, too much of an effort? I know that a lot of us are able to get down there from time to time, but not all the time. And I expect that this year will be even busier because of how many we do have in that category. But with the fact that Representative Heinrich has got ideas on a bonding for for a study, I believe, and I think that it might be time for the county to really be there and have some support for that. So that's kind of why I'm supporting.
Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern about just having this long list of things is that we're asking for $138 million for the Highway 10, the 2 items, right? Is it 2? No. And then I forgot what the amount was for, we're asking for millions and millions of dollars. And I'd hate to miss our highest priority items for that, even though it's important. But, this is all about public safety.
Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I don't disagree, and unfortunately, we have to ask for $138 million for state responsibility. Highway 10 is not a county road by any stretch of the imagination, but we found that in order to advance these projects, we as locals have to take control and run with it. That's the new paradigm, the new worldview, the new way of doing things. MnDOT sits back and comes along, kind of getting pulled a little bit. And they've been supportive. I don't want to sound that as a knock, but that seems to be the new way of doing this. And certainly R5 is probably pales in comparisons to Hennepin County's 50 projects that they're going to be lobbying for. But we don't have any guarantee any of the 5 will be funded, or portions of the 5 may be funded. I would guarantee that none of the 5 will be fully funded. Conversion to 65 will not be funded fully. I guarantee it. This go around. So every single one may get a piece of a pie, And that's what we're trying to go after, is try and get as many pieces of those pie as possible on projects that absolutely have to be done.
Thank you. I'm going to make the comment that, you get concerned about watering down our ask by having too many asks in transportation particularly. But Commissioner Look is right. If you don't ask, you're never going to get it. In this particular case, I think we are asking too early. I think this project's nowhere near ready. We don't have release from MPCA on the site north of the tracks. We don't have any idea what that acquisition could look like. But you got to prime the pump. You got to get started. I'm actually going to vote in favor of the amendment. I think adding that one in, it's an important safety item on our, not on our highway system, but within our county. So I'm going to support your amendment. And I want to address the kids out here first and thank them for being so quiet and so good, and let them know that I'm moving your item up next. Because you've been really patient and really good. And so we will get you up the agenda here shortly, but we got to finish this item we're on first. Commissioner Breasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do think it's important to make sure that we don't discredit the local municipalities and their efforts to lead projects. Like we made a conscious decision to turn over the lead on the 610 full access to the city of Coon Rapids. And at our meeting, we discussed turning over the 47 railroad grade separation to the city of Anoka. And I think that's okay. If you think they do a good enough job or not, these are early in the process. I do think that it would be okay to support it with others. And our lobbyists are educated on all of our issues, but knowing that it isn't necessarily our priority, I think kind of waters down our priority.
Seeing no further discussion, we're going to vote on the amendment to move that over to the category of yes, lobby for it, as opposed to support with others. Let's do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Nay.
Commissioner West.
Nay.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Nay.
I believe that fails on a 3-3 vote. So we're back to the original graph that you see in front of you. I am going to introduce something now that I just found out about, so it's not a secret I've been holding from you. I was at the IG meeting as well, and I do not serve on that committee. The city of Coon Rapids has approached me for their recycling center. The MPCA has approached them and said, we've got a substantial grant we want you to apply for, but it has to go through a bonding committee. I'm not quite sure of the process, but they're asking for us to support with them, not lead. But it sounds like they're going to get like $750,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood to redo their recycling center, to grow it. They've outgrown the space and they need to add on and build some new buildings. And they're one of our better recycling centers I shouldn't say better, one of our bigger recycling centers in the county. Certainly even Little Linwood Township does a fabulous job of recycling up there. But this is, they're going through I believe it's a capital improvements committee that they have to go through to get this bond. The MPCA is writing a letter of support, and they've asked us if we would be willing just to support them in this. I know I'm bringing this to you without a lot of information. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, we can add this in later, I think, at a different meeting. But I just thought, seeing as this is with us today, it might be a simple enough ask. It's supporting them getting bonding dollars to redesign and build their recycling center. And it is a city match. The city will have to match whatever they get in the bond.
So that's your motion?
Yeah, that would be my motion, to add that into county supports with others.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
And just so I'm understanding you, so basically we would be essentially offering a letter of support to the city. Okay.
Yeah, and I would say that no one here is being asked to go down and testify. No one here is being asked to lift much. They may ask me to come down and say something at some point, but I think it's a worthy cause, recycling. We've touched on it, how important it is and how the markets aren't good right now, but Coon Rapids is still willing to reinvest. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just generally speaking, I think as often as the county can partner with our local cities, I am in support of that.
Thank you. Further comments? There's a motion and a second on the floor. Again, if you're uncomfortable with this, stop me now. We won't even vote, but it will not be county tax dollars into this at all. It'll just be maybe not even a letter, just some of my time probably.
If I can, Mr. Chair, I think you ought to state the motion succinctly for purposes of the record in the minutes, if you would, please.
The motion is to add to our legislative platform to support with others Coon Rapids' effort to receive bonding money through the legislature to improve their recycling center.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The motion's before us. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes. Thank you. That was for the amendment only. We now have the entire platform before us. Are there any other changes? If not, I would, yep. If not, I would accept a motion to place this on the table.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Brassad, second by Commissioner West. It is now before us, the legislative platform. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that will pass unanimously. Back to the IG chair.
And that concludes my report.
We are done with intergovernmental, and before we jump into property records and taxation, we will move on to item 10. We'll consider approving a contract C007388, which is an employment agreement with Steph Bido Zimmer, and appointing Steph as the Anoka County Employee Relations Director, effective today. Hello, Steph. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Brassad, second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, I want to start that Stephanie comes highly recommended, and I have no doubt that she will do a good job in this capacity. I've been pretty consistent when it comes to replacing our top staff positions, such as this, when these are positions that are often held for 20, 25, 30 years at a time. I do believe, because we are the fourth largest county in the state and we serve the public, that we should be conducting best practices for these positions. I personally really prefer external posting the job and then conducting interviews. In the department of, for us, for employee relations, even internally, I know that we have a very talented staff that a lot of them are quite seasoned. So even an internal job posting and conducting interviews, I think would have been a good compromise, again, to work towards best practices in Anoka County. So for those reasons, I cannot support this particular resolution. That being said, again, I have struggled with the fact that these are talented people that are being appointed to these positions, and what is the balance between not undermining the people, but really advocating for a process that Anoka County deserves. So I will be abstaining from this vote, but Stephanie, I wish you well, and again, I have every confidence that you will do a good job.
Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've already abstained from two, so I'm not going to abstain from this one. But I do believe that Stephanie will do a great job, and I'm glad that she's in this position. But again, I go back to Commissioner Meisner's comments as well, that I do believe in a process that we need to have for the top 15 to 16 staff members that we do this for, and I think that we should go through a process, but I will be supporting Stephanie, so thank you.
Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm stating again what I've already stated, but since the last time we made this decision with our division manager for highways, I had a conversation with 3 other people from 3 different counties about this, told them the dilemma some of us are having. And I asked them, is this what you do? Because to me, if when someone's really gifted in an area that you have been hiring for, and they know there's a potential for promotion, I think that gives us quality people. And of course, then they become more familiar with how we operate and are known, and we get a chance to see how they operate. I just think this is a way to have the best talent and keep the best talent. So I continue to feel strongly about this. I will say, you know, it is a position that person has for a long time, but in my years here, we have had 3 that I can quick think of that were with us for quite a while, and we did what was necessary to replace them because the performance wasn't what we wanted. So it is not like it's a guaranteed forever just because we picked them now.
Thank you. I'm not going to speak to the process. I've done that enough. I am going to speak to Steph. Thank you for your work. You've turned around a department and have done great things. I shouldn't say turned around a department. The department was okay. You're just making it shine. You're really making it, and the work you've done so far is solid and much more than I thought could be done. That's impressive leadership, and I'm just thrilled that you're willing to enter this contract with us and move on from there. It's pretty exciting. Rhonda, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have had the opportunity to supervise Steph since she was appointed as interim director back in August, and we meet on a weekly basis. I have to tell you, I have been thoroughly impressed with her technical skills, but also her ability to be extremely thorough. She is organized, she's detailed, she is always focused on transparency. She has done a wonderful job with her team, and I have heard nothing but very positive comments from her coworkers as well. Every time we meet, she comes in with a complete list of all the things she is working on. We have discussion about some of the challenges and the opportunities that exist. They're all laughing because that's Steph's Steph's term for a challenge. It's an opportunity. So I have to tell you, she has produced so much work in a short period of time. Today, we looked at the rules and regulations. Her and her team are working on a new onboarding process. We recognize that people's first experience at an employer will make or break whether they really want to continue to stay with an employer. And the recognition of that, appreciate that. Open enrollment, I think the smoothest that it has ever gone. It was wonderful. There were EEOC requirements, the Human Resource Management System, RFP, a new electronic oral exam piece, the performance evaluation information that went out to staff. The legislature implemented a wage theft law, which meant that we had to rapidly get things in place for that. Steph ran with that. Updating data practices and the sexual harassment training. She has been extremely busy juggling all of these new requirements at the same time managing just the daily operations of that department. So I commend her for her work, and I am extremely proud to hopefully be able to have her as a permanent part of our team.
And on top of that, raising a young family. That's today.
Well-behaved young family.
Very well behaved. Commissioner Rested.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too won't rehash all my reasons for believing in succession planning, but I will say that our organization, our number one asset is our employees. And my experience with Steph and to see her work through this transition has been most impressive. So I look forward to many years of you being at the helm in this position, and thank you for your service, and am so impressed by your children. They deserve something. I don't know what that might be, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Mr. Chair, if I can very briefly, I also, of course, recognize Steph's talents when I hired her into the county attorney's office. So I'm sure this board will experience the same great experience that I had when Steph was working in our office. She's a consummate professional, and certainly I'd like to remind the board of that, and does very, very well, both practical, obviously, and in her educational piece. So just wanted to add my 2 cents to the board.
Thank you. Your loss is our gain.
I've said that many a time, Mr. Chair.
Well, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying, we'll do a roll call vote here.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Abstain.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes with 1 abstention. Steph, would you like to say a few words?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. The timing today during this Thanksgiving week is not lost on me, as most of us later this week will pause to reflect on the individuals and opportunities in our lives that really matter and make a difference. I had the opportunity today to do that a little bit early, which is fantastic. First, I'd like to thank my parents. They come from modest means and humble beginnings, and my dad has worked to create a small business and run that very effectively for nearly 40 years. And in the time that he has done that, I have watched him continuously be of service to others, put profits aside, and do the work that makes a difference. My parents are the example to which I aspire. I'd also like to thank my family, and perhaps a Thanksgiving elementary school holiday schedule that affords an opportunity for my husband Jason, my son Evan, and my daughter Hannah to be here with us today. Hannah this morning commented that for Mom doing a good job tonight, we get to go to Dairy Queen for a treat. I think she might have some of her own self-interest in that endeavor, so she can enjoy a treat as well. But nonetheless, as customary in our family, and something we'll be doing tonight. So I'm thrilled that they can be here. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them and their support. So thank you. To the Anoka County Employee Relations Department, what a team of professionals. They're among the most hardworking, creative, strategic, and all-around well-rounded professionals I've had the opportunity to work with in my 20 years. They are driven, they do what's right, they work hard for Anoka County's nearly 2,000 employees, nearly 1,000 active retirees, and the thousands of prospective employees who apply for jobs here week in and week out. I'm incredibly proud to be part of this talented team. So grateful for the above and beyond efforts. Many of them are here today, so thank you all very, very much. As we continue to refine our processes, introduce best practices, and create a more diverse and increasingly talented pool of employees who work here. I feel very fortunate to work with the peers that I have here in leadership at the county as well. They too are some of the most humble, well-rounded, talented professionals, and it is an honor to be in their company and to do this work together. And finally, to you, Board of Commissioners, thank you for this tremendous opportunity, for the confidence you have placed in my abilities and my potential. And I want you to know I'm so very grateful for this opportunity and will do my very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steph. And I want you to remind your children later that, our future leaders, by the way, but remind them that this is our longest county board meeting in history. Normally they're, in and out, and so they can come to more of them and they'll be a lot quicker.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. And thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and jump back into committee reports. We have a couple more to go. We'll go to Property Records and Taxation Committee Report. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I heard a sigh, I think it was from Hannah earlier, and I thought it was me earlier doing that, so I'm glad it got blamed on her, because I was thinking, this is a long meeting. All right, so let's make it longer. We met on November 18th, the Property Tax Committee. We have 2 action items. The committee recommends the county board approve the license agreement for access to the Anoka County Property Records and Taxation Subscription Service, which is the commercial customer, and license agreement for access to the Anoka County Property Records and Taxation Subscription Service government agency. This is related to the new Tyler system. They're requesting the approval because of the new Tyler system, the new Tyler Property Assessment, Taxation, and Land Record System, which, by the way, is live right now. So we're pretty excited about that got through, and I want to thank the property tax folks and the IT folks that worked many, many hours to get that in place and got us to the live state. So, but this is our first item, so I will move this. I'll make the motion on this one.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that will pass unanimously.
The second item, Mr. Chair, is to recommend the county board approve the license agreement for the purchase of optical images from the Anoka County Property Records and Taxation. This is also related to the new system, the Tyler Property Assessment, Taxation, and Land Record System. And there will be fees that are on for both of these that will be going to the fee schedule later on in December, I believe. That'll be coming? Today. Oh, it's today. Never mind, it's today. Okay, we'll get to that then. But this is just the license agreement for this portion of the optical images, and I'll move it.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, is this for a purchase, expenditure of funds?
This is a license agreement, let's see, wait.
For the purchase, I saw.
License agreement for the purchase of optical images from Anoka County Property Records and Taxation, so they're purchasing them from us.
Okay.
Sets up the
Setting the system.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll continue to a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that will pass unanimously.
And that completes, that's the end of my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I would just comment before we move on to the next report that this has been a major undertaking in property records to implement a new data system per se, a new system. We've done it in many different areas. We did it in public safety, and the attorney's office is in the middle of doing some of the same stuff or about to. And it's just a major undertaking. But property records hit people a little different because that's something every single household in the county gets. Mm-hmm. And you can't make a mistake, because if you do, it gets really loud, really fast. But I really want to applaud everybody in that division for your leadership and the work all of your team has done to make this happen, and we really appreciate it from a board's perspective.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, let's move on then to the public safety report. Commissioner Brasted, back to you one last time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on November 19th and have a few items. The first being that the committee recommends approval and execution of contract, the 2020 law enforcement contract with the Township of Linwood in the amount of $262,632 and a term of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st. And this is for the sheriff contract with the Township of Linwood.
I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any further discussion? Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, under Minnesota state law, the sheriff is responsible to cover policing services for townships, and I'm assuming this is for additional coverage than what would normally be provided. And I've still have yet to receive information back on, ability to protect ourselves from seeing as we're an insured county, how we protect ourselves on these additional contracts if there's any sort of lawsuits that result from these, from our police being out there, our sheriff being out there and operating and trying to protect the interest of every other community in the county that's going to get sued if we get sued. So I will be opposing it.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Gamache.
I know that Commissioner Look has brought this up before, and I'm kind of curious as to what or who should be responding to his request. I guess I'm not sure exactly how we get that information.
Administrator Rhonda.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gamache. We actually had a meeting with Bill Keller. Bill Keller has been reaching out to potential entities. At this point in time, there is not an entity that would provide that sort of coverage. So, he certainly will continue to explore opportunities, but that's been a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Brasted.
I would like to point out that in the sheriff's contracts with these individual cities, there is an additional amount that is included for any situations that may arise.
Yeah, and Commissioner Look and I have talked about that, and the concern is that enough? Are we charging enough to cover a potential lawsuit? And I guess, we've had risk management look at it, as referenced Bill Keller, risk management. And we continue to wrestle with what is the right amount. Perhaps we need to continue to work with the sheriff and maybe fund that account higher. It's being funded pretty high right now, and there's quite a bit in contingency for protection from a lawsuit. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, with regards to that, I think you're referring to tens of thousands of dollars, and we've seen litigation coming out of Minneapolis on a wrongful discharge of a weapon in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So I don't know that that's something that this county necessarily wants to undertake. If an accident happens, or if it doesn't happen, but a jury decides that it happens, at that point, it's problematic. I mean, we had a deer contract where we paid out $500,000, so that wasn't even a wrongful death type of scenario. So I think that the liability is perhaps greater than that maybe some of us want to assume. And we have to take a hard look at that, because one mishap can have huge financial impact on this county.
Well, I think clearly at this point, we have two options. One is we don't renew contracts and the sheriff can't patrol these townships and cities, or we find somebody to insure us. And right now, we're not finding anyone that will insure that risk. So we'll have to continue looking while we decide. In the meantime, I'm not willing to tell Linwood, Little Tiny Township, you can't have this service from us. I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to support this and let Township have some, they're going to get our sheriff's normal coverage that he's mandated in Township, but they're asking for a little more, and I'm willing to allow the sheriff to do that. So I'll be supporting this. Understanding your position, however. With that, there is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Opposed?
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item, please, number 2.
The Public Safety Committee recommends approval and execution of Contract C0007637, the Snowmobile Safety Enforcement Grant between the State of Minnesota, acting through its Commissioner of Natural Resources, and the Anoka County Sheriff's Office, with a total obligation by the state not to exceed $11,924 for expenses incurred through June 30th, 2021. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes. Item 3.
The Public Safety Committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2019-PS11 relating to county participation in violent crime enforcement teams 2020 grant program and approval and execution of the grant agreement with the total obligation of the state not to exceed $235,000 and an effective date of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And I'll offer that resolution.
Resolution's been offered. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes. Item 4.
The Public Safety Committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2019-PS12, accepting funds on behalf of the Anoka County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard to attend a National Law Enforcement Memorial Service in Washington, D.C. And this is a new donation that has come through. And the Edward B. Cutter Post number 102 has made 2 donations of $100 each. The Fridley American Legion Post number 303 has made a donation of $100. The Sergeant John Rice VFW Post 6316 has made a donation of $200. And the St. Francis American Legion Post 622 has made a donation of $100. I'd be happy to offer that resolution.
Resolution's been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes with a unanimous vote. Next, item 5.
And lastly, the Public Safety Committee recommends approval and execution of Contract C0007614, the 2019 Emergency Management Performance Grant between the State of Minnesota, Department of Public Safety, and Anoka County Emergency Management in the amount of $134,818 in a term of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further conversation? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Gamache.
I wanted to bring something up real quick regarding our first item on the law enforcement contract, and I'm not sure, and perhaps it's already been looked into by the administrator, but the League of Minnesota Cities does cover cities for these types of things when they have their own police force, and I'm wondering if Bill has taken that look into seeing, is because of the fact that the cities are paying a contract, is that part of being covered by possibly League of Minnesota Cities?
Administrator Silveraja.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gamache, in checking with the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, they said that they could not provide coverage directly for Anoka County. The cities could agree to defend and indemnify Anoka County for any claims. This would require a contract language change. Presumably, a city would pay less to Anoka County if the city's assuming the risk. The city's liability would be capped at $2 million. This could expose the county to anything greater than this limit. The League of Minnesota Cities contends the county has some duty to provide law enforcement services throughout the county regardless of any agreements. In the event of an actual claim, there could be a fact questions whether the services were being provided under the contract or the services provided to everyone in the county. Their attorney stated, "I think the risk to Anoka County in providing law enforcement services to cities is no different than the risk Anoka County takes on in providing law enforcement services to county residents. It seems somewhat odd to me that Anoka County wants to carve this out, and they could not give a premium cost for exposure at this time." So that is their response.
Okay, thank you. That was quick.
Thank you. And that will bring us to a public hearing. I'll turn the floor over to Attorney Palumbo to conduct a public hearing on item 9 on our agenda to obtain comments concerning Anoka County user fees.
Mr. Chair, I will now convene the public hearing. Notice of the public hearing was published in the official newspaper of the county on November 15th, 2019. I'd ask the clerk to make note of that for the record. And again, the purpose, of course, is to obtain comments from anyone on Anoka County user fees. Before you today is Budget Director Patty Hetrick. Ms. Hetrick, I believe you will then address the county board on those proposed changes, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. For the record, I'm Patty Hetrick, Budget Director for Anoka County. Today, this resolution and public hearing is to certify that our board authorizes changes to our fee structure or additions or deletions. All of these fees have gone through Committee of Jurisdiction. All of these fees represent actual costs. We are not allowed to make money or profit on these fees, and that has been researched and committed. So first, we have about 5 pages of fees. I promise I will not read them in detail. I think we've been here long enough today. I would like to highlight a few, however. On page 1, highway, I think you're going to be a little surprised at the difference of price and salt. We have our highway division manager if you have more questions, but basically the demand for salt after the last couple winters has really increased, so prices therefore have gone up. It also has been affected by the way they do contracts. There's been an industry change. We used to be able to buy futures on 80 to 120% of the contract. We no longer can do that. We can only buy up to 100%. So all of this has led to a pretty significant change. Any questions on that?
Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, the current fee, Patty, is $17.72. Proposed fee is $9.61.
Do you want to explain the difference between the sand and the...
It's to the 17, add the 2?
No,
there's
it's,
sand and there's salt, and the sand has gone down, but I'm going to let Joe explain it more in detail.
Oh, that's sand, I apologize.
No.
Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Look. So the difference there is in 2019 here, we actually had delivery. It was a difference in the delivery method that took place. So the sand in the 2018 fee that you see there for $17.72 was with county forces going, picking up the sand, bringing it back to the shop. And then the alternative is for the $9.61. That is actually having the vendor supply the trucking to deliver it to us. So there's some cost savings experience there.
Any other questions? As you can see, we're always looking for ways to reduce fees too, and I think Joe and his people have done a fantastic job. There's a couple other that are going down too, but we don't have control over commodities. The library, we've added some fees for rooms and lost key cards. The Regional Forensic, Midwest Regional Forensic Laboratory, the ME office, they have added some fees. I think they're finding themselves doing more and more individual work for other places. This would be different than the contract work we have with other counties. If you go to the bottom of page 2, we do want to point out that, as always, we are very gracious for our active and inactive military. We've tried repeatedly to reduce fees or eliminate fees for them. We'll continue to look at all areas to see if there's anything we can do for our vets. You're going to see a long list of Chamonix adds, and you're going to see a long list of Chamonix deletes. Mark Johnson is here from Chamonix in case we have any questions, but basically I think they've reorganized their fee structure to be better, clearer, and probably better for the community. Finally, on page 5, property records and taxation. I believe Commissioner Gamache was referring to this earlier. With the new system, there are some new fees. We've also moved some fees. If we have any more questions, we certainly have our property tax specialists here to answer them. And then finally, the Sheriff's Office. This is a fee for county tax warrant and associated sale. Apparently this does not happen often, but it's highly complicated and very costly to the county. And so we'll be adding a fee for $200 per case. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Ms. Hetrick? Okay. Commission.
Thank you. Just to update folks if they have any questions on the Chamonix, what we're trying to do is remove some of the different things, kind of get everything under one, a good program. And this program, I think, is going to set us up for the future, and make Chamonix even better place to play golf and recreate. But I think it's really great what we're doing here, because I think it's really going to tighten it up a little bit and give us better control over what the fees were in past years, because now we've got a better handle on it. So I appreciate the work that the staff has done in getting us to this point.
Okay. Any other questions by the commissioners? Okay. At this time, I would invite members of the public to come forward and address the board. Is there any member of the public that wishes to come forward at this time? And I'll ask a third time, any member of the public that wishes to come forward and address the board on these user fees? Okay, Mr. Chair, I see no one has come forward at this time, and then I would close the meeting and turn it back to you.
Thank you, Attorney Palumbo. At this time, I would entertain offer the resolution.
So moved.
The resolution has been offered. Is there further discussion on the fees or fee structure? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes. Yes,
Oh, thank you,
Commissioner
Mr.
Meisner.
Yeah, so we do this process every year, the fee review? Okay, thank you.
All right, well, let's, thank you, Patty. Let's move on to item 11 on our agenda. We've done 10 already, and that is the committee appointments. We'll consider the reappointment of Harvey Glowoski to the Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term expiring December 31st of 2022. We'll consider the reappointment of Robert Rowe to the Adult Mental Health Advisory Committee for a 3-year term expiring January 28th of 2023. And we'll consider for informational purposes my appointment of Shim Cook to the Department of Employment and Economic Development, better known as DEED, replacing Mike Lang, Jody O'Neill of Cretex Companies, to the Anoka County Workforce Development Board for terms expiring June 30th of 2021. So I'll need a motion on item 11A and B. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
And I have a second from Commissioner Meisner. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's unanimously approved. I believe that concludes our agenda. Anything else to come before the board? We're adjourned. Longest meeting in history.